Hey brandpreneurs, this is Allie Craig, and on this week's episode on how to master your social media marketing, guess what? We're really talking about, how to really understand what your audience really wants. And the truth is, that's really understanding your audience's human needs, understanding their Notoriety profile. When you understand what really is the trigger and motivations for your audience, that's how you create the relationship. Your audience is like you. They're not telling the truth. And here's what I mean. Your audience isn't going to say this is what they really need or what they really want. They're going to find some excuse. They're going to put some logic on it. And as you well know in your own brain, that sometimes what you really need or what you really want isn't logical and doesn't actually necessarily make sense. You feel like you'll be vulnerable if you're being honest. So make sure that you meet your audience before they ever even have to share their vulnerability or what they really need. Be that person where you're like, are you inside my brain? That's the type of relationship we're wanting to have. Now, you can look at Notoriety and you can look at natural human needs psychology. So we're going to focus on human needs psychology today, so that way this video isn't ridiculously long. And we have other videos on Notoriety that you can go totally have fun and check out. So human needs psychology says that there's 6 fundamental human needs that we all have. That no matter when you were born, where you were born, what time you were born, these are just fundamental human needs that we naturally have. Significance, variety, growth, contribution, love, and acceptance is all what we need. So that means that variety, we need to have something new. We need to have something fresh. Certainty is that last one. Certainty, meaning that we need to be reliant upon, that someone is always there, but for sure something's always going to happen. Significance, that we matter, that we're the bomb.com. Contribution, that we're giving back, that we are giving to someone else outside of ourselves. Growth, that we're always growing and evolving, learning. And of course, love. Love is about that fundamental love from when you were a child. It's not love for what you do or love for what you contribute or love for anything other than the fact that you are a soul on this earth in this moment. Just like you love a baby who has literally just been born, that is the fundamental human need of love. Here's the interesting thing. I've been doing branding for the last 20 years. And so if you were looking at the West, so you were looking at most Western markets, for the most part, if you were saying that you were trying to target an entrepreneur or someone who has a very driven mindset, significance was always going to be a huge part. Growth was always going to be a huge part. And for the last probably decade or so, contribution, the idea of giving back, was always a huge part. The interesting shift that's been occurring over the last 3 years is that significance is still really high because Western society values significance above all else. But the interesting thing is love has started to play a factor. So most of the time, that contribution part, though important, love is beginning to filter in there. So either growth or contribution isn't as much of a priority. Love is. So meaning that they are loved for just who they are. They're not loved because they gave you money. They're not loved because they're giving you anything. They're loved because of just their soul on this earth. This idea that we need to be fundamentally loved just as the baby was just born is becoming more and more important in our society. What does that mean with how you relate to your audience? What does that mean for social media? Here's what it means. It means that for those elements that are your freebies, that is your easy offer ends, you need to be just as loving and kind and not neglectful of them just because they haven't paid you money. You have to make sure that you're never saying, well, if you paid me money, I would do X for you. That isn't about giving your services away for free, but it's about your heart and your compassion, your energy towards that. Because when we can do that, then we can create that community. Then we can create that connection. And when we do that, that in the end does create the cash for your brands.